I'm ranaal-falaki.
I'm Pavel.
And welcome to
the Nail It podcast.
This is your place to lead better, live fully, and laugh more. It's your blueprint to optimal performance. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Nail It podcast, your place to
Lead better, live fully, laugh more.
Love more.
Yeah.
Welcome, Bav. How are you doing on this beautiful dark evening?
I know. The clocks have gone back. We had a little bit of a break in recording, but we're off to a flyer with this next one.
No one would ever notice. It all continues. And yes, we have got an amazing guest with us today. But before we do that, Bav, I just must tell you, I mean, hands down to your TV appearance.
Yeah, it aired last week. It was such a roller coaster.
What was your favorite bit? Getting the makeup done?
I think so. Getting pampered. Yeah, it was great. Having my 15 minutes of fame. Yeah, it was such a great experience, and it really is living our principles, right? Living fully and laughing more.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've been on TV quite a few times, and I'm always in awe at how they are so helpful, so friendly, so lovely. The producers, you always have a giggle and a laugh with them. And it's a fantastic opportunity, whatever it is you happen to be doing, right?
Yeah, there's so many teams at play, people doing, running around doing things, and people looking after you, looking after the set. There's so many things go into it. You don't realize what goes on behind the scenes. And as you say, everyone's so calm and chilled, and it's like this. It's quite a big deal to you, obviously, when you're there. But yeah, it was something out of Black Mirror, that thing, because we let away too many secrets, but there was no audience, so everything's pin drop silence. So you don't know whether you're funny or not. You don't know whether you're being funny or they're being funny, because it's kind of like only one person's laughing. But yeah, it's great, and they edited it really well.
You weren't being funny, Bev.
Oh, I think they just put the laughs in just to make me sound funny. I think they just did that to be nice.
I'll tell you what, I think my weirdest TV interview was when I was on the Trisha show on Talk TV. I think I was talking about it was one of my interviews, stress in dentistry, probably, or stress in life. And the thing is, she's not actually based in the UK anymore. She's based in America. So they connect it on Zoom. And so on one side of me was the screen of her talking, but I couldn't look up there. I just had to focus and look on the camera. So I'm literally hearing her here and looking to the camera as if I'm talking to her completely. That was the hardest bit. Very weird. It's amazing, this stuff that goes on TV behind the scenes that you don't really realize. But enough of that. That's enough about us. It's not about us today.
No, it's not about us. No.
Who is our guest?
About us, yeah. It's about our guest, yeah. And we've got Shaz on today. Shaz is someone that's been in dentistry for a while now. He is the man, the legend, the marketing guru, founder of Digimax Dental, founder of Wells on Wheels charity, and author of Instagram for Dentists. So maybe
yay! Drum roll! Welcome, Shaz, Memon.
Welcome, mate.
Thank you very, very much for having me and for the very kind intro. It's a real honor to be here today. And Ron, I'm absolutely loving your energy. Yours too, Bav. But Ron, I
try, but compared to her, mate, I haven't got any energy.
Empowering you today. Last time I met you, Rana, I was panting because you got us all doing exercises in a seat. Not really ready for it, Rana, but hopefully today I won't be panting and it can be a bit smoother than our last meeting.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm not going to get you up and down in chairs. That was the VDIA conference, a good old well-being hack. Have you stuck to it since then, by the way?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I thought you were going to say absolutely. I shared this well-being hack of basically a HIIT workout, 60 seconds of squatting up and down on your chair. Do it once an hour. You save 6 years of your life. Extend your life by 6 years.
I thought you were going to say once a day. I could have easily do that. I'm like, yes, mate, I can start doing it now. Once an hour? That's ridiculous. I'll be waddling the next day.
You usually are, but once you keep it going, it's actually pretty good. Yeah, it works quite well. Okay, so I'm not going to get you jumping up and down on a chair today, Shaz, but I am really curious. Like, you've written this book, Instagram for Dentists. You're appearing all over the dental world. People are constantly asking you to speak, and you are such a wonderful speaker with amazing, beautiful stories. How on earth did you start doing stuff for dentistry?
Uh, I get asked this a lot, especially from people who haven't met me before. And I'm going to try and trim it down because there's so many versions of this story, but I'll trim it down. Basically, I've got two elder brothers. I'm the baby of the family. They're 10 years older than me, and they're designers, they're graphic designers. So when I was growing up, I was immersed in a household where there were design tools everywhere, and this is in an era where computers aren't really a thing at that point. So I would see my brothers as the kid, peering over their shoulder. To make a leaflet, they would get something called what was called letter set. So to write Rana on this leaflet, if they're designing one, they'd get the R and trace it, and the A and trace it, and then when dad had enough money, he bought them a computer. So I was the kid just observing from behind the scenes, and it was like, don't you dare touch this. We're gonna know if you've touched this. And absolutely, I did touch their tools. So one day, I was so immersed in playing with the design tools, because when my brothers used to go to university, I used to mess around with their stuff. And then when I would hear them, I'd quickly sneak out and leave it as if I've not touched anything. So my brother walked in, caught me red-handed, and he said, "Did you do this?" And I said, yeah." And he looked at it and he said, "Did Nad help you, my other brother?" I said, "No." He said, "So you actually did this?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "This is amazing." And they commended me for producing work which was on par with them, and there might have been a bit of child labor going on, because then they got me to actually start helping them, and I'm talking at age of 11, 12, 13. um, and then, in school, I would be selling posters, I'd be printing at home, definitely for a loss. I'm not a proper Indian. The ink was probably costing more than the posters I was selling for 15p. My mates' names on it. And then when I went to university, got a degree in e-commerce, and in uni I was designing lots of party flyers and CD covers and that kind of thing. I just loved design. Anything creative I loved. And I didn't really know what I was going to do at the end of uni. The course that I took was something I was interested in. There was no real pressure from parents to become doctor or engineer. My dad was really chill. He said, just do whatever you enjoy. But we did have an entrepreneurial sort of family, and there's always a lot of business talk in family, and especially my brothers, they had their own businesses. So when I finished university, by the time I finished university, I'd renovated my parents' garage in the back garden using student loan, and I just carried on designing, and I carried on designing for years. Like that, it just days went into months, months went into years, and I was designing for every industry, from the estate agent to a car showroom, and I thought I had a business. And my friends were looking at me saying, "Oh, look, we're looking for work now. You're so cool. You've got your own business." And I was generating invoices, so I felt like a business person. But about 5 years in, I was so lost, and almost I could say depressed. I'd put on weight. What I loved doing, I started hating, because there was so much work coming in, and I didn't really know anything about delegating or creating or any of that, or hiring systems, and that kind of knowledge wasn't even there available that easily. There were no coaches I could get in touch with. There's no proper YouTube. So almost 10 years went on, and then my brother came into the office, which was the garage, and he said, "What's happened to you?" He had moved out by now. He said, "Look at the state of you. What's wrong?" And I said, "I don't know what I'm doing." He said, "Why haven't you hired someone?" And I said, "My clients aren't going to like anyone else's work. They come to me for my work." And he said, "Are you kidding me?" He said, "Have you tried it?" I said, "No." He said, "I'm not going to try." He said, "What's the worst that's going to happen?" And I said, "Well, I'll lose money." And he said, "What else?" I said, "Nothing else." He said, "So do you think it's worth a try? You do that for 3 months?" And that was the kind of breaking point, education point. So got my first staff who came into that garage. Then I moved to an office, and then I started to do the stuff I dreamt of, like doing work for BBC and House of Fraser, and the brands that you look up to, as like I would love to design for them. And then James Caan came on Dragon's Den, and I found a way of connecting to him and doing his work. And so I started to do really cool stuff, but I was still quite unfulfilled. When you're working for large companies, you're not really making an impact. Um, and then I got introduced to my first ever dental client, and Iranian dentist, and he said, "Shaz, I really like you." He was really sweet to me. And he was going to Iran at the time, and he said, I need 10,000 leaflets made to promote dental implants. I didn't even know what a dental implant was. So he said, look, just make it. And the process was you design something, then you send it to them for approval. And I said, look, I'm going to need you to approve this. And he said, no, no, it's fine. I've given you the text. I'm sure it's fine. Just get it delivered to this place. They're going to distribute it. And he said, but I want it to stand out. It's got to stand out. When it goes through the door, it's got to stand out. Is in Barnet, and he said affluent area, and the dental implant is, I think it was 1995 per tooth. So I thought, right, he said it's got to stand out, and this is a great offer. So I designed a red leaflet, bright red, dental implant, 1995, a bit more text, printed it, nice and bold. 2 weeks later, I get a call from him, and he is screaming down the phone at me. Now, bear in mind, I'm in my early 20s and everyone's put me on a pedestal. And this grown man is shouting at me. He said, what have you done? I said, what have I done? Was a compliment coming? Was this a joke? And he scolded me so badly. He said, do you not know? Are you an idiot? Red signifies blood. Dental implant? Do you think people know what dental implant is? I couldn't admit to him that I didn't even know what it was. He said, no one knows what it is. It restores function. Didn't you not even look that up? And people get, so he just went on and on and on. And I had a lump in my throat because my parents haven't even spoken to me like that. So he hung the phone up. I was in tears. 5 minutes later, I called him back and I said, look, I'm so sorry. I'm going to pay for this. He said, I don't care about you paying for it. Look at the damage that's been caused. And I said, look, I'll be honest with you. I didn't know what an implant was. I didn't know red signifies blood. I didn't know any of that, but I should have. Is it okay if I could just come and shadow you for some time, free of charge? I just want to learn about your business because it's clearly not like any other business. And he just went silent and he said, okay. So then I shadowed him for almost 10 days, I think it was. And every consultation I went into, I could see it wasn't about dentistry, the clinical side of dentistry much at all. It was all about restoring confidence, restoring function, being able to bite again, smiling, not hiding your smile, getting ready for that wedding day. And that was the turning point for me because I looked at the other people in this space and I thought, you know what? I can do this and I can double down on this and I can do it better. And I ended up dedicating my whole life to it. So I started Digimax at age 18. I'm 43 now, and here I am. That's how I started.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, there is so much to unpack there.
Yeah.
There is so, I mean, it's a beautiful story, but there are so many things. One is the entrepreneurial journey, and I think anybody who's a practice owner, for example, unless you're a crazy person like me who works 7 days a week, who is not just a practice owner but has their own business, but the whole, if you have your own business, the entrepreneur, the going for it, they're not quite sure what you're doing, the the classic of actually just thinking you need to clone yourself because no one else can do it like you. So that battle of just hire someone and actually what's the worst that can happen, which is such a powerful couple of words. And obviously, Bav, I know we use that a lot in the coaching world, don't we? To just make you realize actually why not. And then there's all this other stuff about oh, well, actually, you know what? It's his fault. I mean, it's very decent of you to have apologized, but at the end of the day, he said to you, I don't need to know.
Yeah.
But you mentioned a lot of things there, like actually feeling empty, feeling like what you were doing was brilliant work and you had this great talent, and yet it was almost thankless and lacked purpose. And I know we're going to get onto that in a minute. And then the third thing was about your then desire to go the extra mile and shadow this person, and your recognition, which was so beautifully put, that dentistry is not, it's not drilling and filling and mechanics. It's really transforming people's lives when you really get down to it. and how you embrace that so much. So, Bav, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, but we definitely need to go in one of those directions.
I think in dentistry, as you quite rightly say, is people when you're working in dentistry, you're so bogged down, your head's down, you don't realize the effect you have on your patients and the people around you. You feel as if you become sort of a tradesperson, and you're just there and you see disease, you treat disease, you fill holes, you do crowns, bridges, dentures, implants, full mouth rehabs. And it's really hard. It's really easy to just go, yeah, that was okay, and move on to the next one, move on to the next one. But you don't take. I think it's important people take a step back and take a look at what effect it's having on the people around them. And a good thing to get into is actually calling patients up, maybe a day, a week, a month, possibly even a year after you finish treatment, and actually asking them how what you've done, how it's affected them, because only then will you know the effect that you're having on other people and on their lives. And as Shaz quite rightly says, it only took him 10 days to figure that out, but that was just as a third party in a room watching what's going on. And I think dentists generally don't do that, don't reflect enough. And thanks, Shaz. I mean, you brought so much to the table there. But we did forget one thing, Rena. We haven't asked him what his favorite quote was.
Oh my gosh,
We're supposed to start with that.
we just got stuck
I
in.
know,
Oh,
I know,
okay.
I know.
Wait, we got to backtrack and then we'll
Yeah.
talk about purpose. Shaz, tell us, what is your favorite quote?
Well, actually, my quote leads on very nicely from my story. The quote is from unknown. I don't know who wrote this quote, but it is: the seed must first endure darkness and pressure before it ever reaches the light. That's my favorite quote.
I love it.
Wow. That is your story
Yeah,
in a nutshell, really, because that's what you're saying, right? Because you were a seed, you had a bit of darkness, you saw the light, and now look at you, you've bloomed.
and it's still blooming, turning
Yeah,
into a tree, old
exactly.
tree.
What have you grown into?
I've grown into a father that has his daughter as his center of his universe. I've grown into someone that really values helping other children who don't have the privileges that my daughter has. And I've grown into someone that really, really cares about the people that trust him. And that's the best way I could sum up where I am today.
Yeah, that's beautifully put. So yeah, that's the thing, right? It's the same with that seed is potential, isn't it? It's anyone has that potential, and you might endure some dark times. You might feel lost. You might have no idea where you're going, but with nourishment and the right environment, you have the potential to grow and to blossom into absolutely anything, right? And that's what that quote means. And for you, very clearly, even the tonality of your voice changes. We were just talking about your daughter, but it's very clear that you need to have this sense of purpose and this wonderful desire to help people in whatever capacity that happens to be.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
your quote entwines your charity work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, look, for a long time, I wasn't giving to charity because I wasn't getting that feeling of, it's reaching the final destination, how much of the pound is actually getting there. And excuse me, knowing so much about charity and structures, I understand there are operating costs, but I never got that feeling. When I would go to India as a child, you could roll the window down, give some money, you see someone who really needs something, receive that, the face lights up. You get that feeling of giving. And growing up, I saw dad always giving. He didn't have much. He doesn't have much. But you'd always be giving, and often, I could see that he's been taken for a ride. But I didn't want to be taken for a ride, and I wanted to give, and I really want to make an impact. So for a long time, I felt quite empty, and especially after I had my daughter, I remember we went to Mama's and Papa's, and they said, "Look, which car seat do you want?" And my wife said, "Well, the best, most safest one." And it was hundreds of pounds. We didn't even blink at that moment because we have to protect this one individual child. But it just it created so many thoughts in me that is this selfish? Is this, are we only working so hard to protect our little family? Does no one, doesn't, are all these other children not our responsibility? So I was always seeking something to fill that void, but I couldn't find what it was until I found Wells on Wheels, which is a charity that helps young children attend school by not having to collect water from the wells and not having to headload water because the villages in rural India don't have piped water. And then when I found that thing, it was like you could say my glass became really full, and I had a new purpose, and I also started setting a really good example to my daughter, and all my clients got involved, and the dental profession got involved, and we filmed this beautiful documentary and got worldwide support all from an idea. And I'm not good at any of these things, by the way. Never wrote a book, never filmed a documentary, don't know how a charity runs. I don't know any of it. I don't know anyone that does. Just knew that it had to be done.
But knowing it had to be done, you then did it. So how did you go about the process?
My view is that if someone else has done something, I can do it too. I just need to know who I need to speak to or learn a skill. That's how I approach anything. So with the charity, for example, it was a godly moment. I'm never really in the office alone. And you know, on top of the water cooler, you get that big bottle. And we get in central London, the water's not very good. So we get these deliveries. And there was no one in the office that time. And I'm a like mouse and keyboard guy. I'm not good with my hands. So the delivery came in. I was like, what do I do with this? So I started taking it down into the basement. And it fell out my hands and it bounced and it didn't break. And I don't know what happened where I just thought, oh, this could have a handle on it because I've got a bit of a manufacturing background too. So I just went upstairs and growing up, you know, if anyone watches Bollywood films, they'll remember that women carry pots of water on their heads when in villages. So, and I used to donate money through my cousin who used to FaceTime me. And I said to my cousin in India, look, when you are helping people in villages, so say for example, a young couple have had a child, I said, look, just go there, give them what they need. I'll give you the money, like cot, basics, essentials. But I just want you to film that interaction or FaceTime me so I can see it's happening, so I can get that fulfilling feeling. Nearly every time he did this for me, I could see some sort of little army of little children in the background carrying water. So that stayed in my head. And when I asked him about it, he said, Shaz, come on, look, you can't fix everything. He was quite flippant about it. So when this water thing happened in the office, I went to my computer and I thought, oh, let me just contact these suppliers in China that I know and tell them, look, is there any way to make this? It was really a loose thought at this point in time. And whilst I was doing that, I found a lady called Cynthia who had made this water wheel 2 years prior, gone through so many iterations of it, trialed it on all terrains. So I emailed her and she said, yeah, look, I've got the blueprint for this wheel. This factory in India makes it. Contacted the factory and they said, look, minimum order, £10,000. I said, okay. They said, where do you want it delivered? I said, I don't know. Just manufacture it and we'll deal with it then. And he kept asking me, where do you want it delivered? Like a week later, 2 weeks later. He said, look, we're nearly ready at production. So I found someone to take delivery, found some volunteers, went to our first village, did a survey, and the villages we went to were where there's a well about a few miles away, where there's a school that's empty, and we got a list of all the families that have children, and we delivered the wheel. And this was our first ever delivery. The moment we delivered the wheel, the young girls stopped collecting water because the wheel can carry 5 times more water than a pail. And you roll it instead of holding it on your head. And the only reason mum takes the daughters, like girls Helena's age, my daughter's age, is because there's a lot of water that they need, you know, cooking, cleaning, all that kind of thing, cattle. So the wheel meant that children no longer had to go to school. Now, really at that time, when I came up with this concept, I thought we are making life easier for our mothers, our grandmothers. But really what ended up happening was, this was the light bulb moment for me. We got a call from our ground team over there, and they said, Shaz, we've got a complaint. And I thought, what could the complaint be? Because we're just helping people. And he said the headmaster of the school in the village is fuming. I said, why? What happened? He said, the school is so full, he can't cope. And he's saying, now you need to extend that school. And I paused and I thought, wow, does this mean that this isn't a water problem we're solving? We're solving an education problem. And I found my purpose in that moment. 100 miles per hour, wheel orders going in, deliveries going in. I'm recruiting people. And you know, one thing I learned about charity? It's the best business ever because every employee of that charity, all the volunteers, not one of them need motivation. Not one of them need corporate leadership sessions where you get them together, bonding. They are all on purpose and all of them are delivering. And haven't looked back since last, I think 2019 I founded it. Still here.
It's amazing. It sounds like as well, just from a concept, and this is often what we talk about with intuition, is put the idea out there and just be curious, which is what you were, right? You were curious, you were inquisitive, and then suddenly with the space allowed, all the answers dropped into place and it all suddenly worked out. You got another idea and you found something else, and then you had another idea, and then it built and it built and it just gained momentum, just like a wheel, like a snowball going down a hill, until it got faster and faster and faster. And then, like you said, light bulb moment. Actually, this isn't just about water. It's the impact that happens down the line. And a little bit like the whole dentistry story, right? It isn't about an implant. It's about the impact and the transformation that has in that person's confidence and ability to eat and ability to smile, and then their relationships and their success in their career and all the rest of it, right? Everything escalates. Nothing is ever at face value. And I love it when you are able to maintain that level of curiosity and openness and realize that there's always something deeper. And if you allow it to happen, if you truly believe it, which what you did, and you just started somewhere, right? You didn't allow yourself to think, oh, okay, I don't know how to do that, so I'm just going to park it. You started, which is what anyone really should do, right? You just start and the answers will come.
Yeah.
It's an amazing story. Back to dentistry. So in order to do your charity work, you've got a business. You've got a very nice business. It's around the corner from my practice. I don't know if you remember, you actually did the website for my practice when I owned it. One of the most beautiful websites I've ever seen. Thank you again for that. Where did you start that up? What is Digimax Dental? What do you do? And how do you help dentists?
So Digimax is a name I came up with when I was 16 in maths class, and it was digital design, maximum effect. And I put the two together, and it was just about creating beautiful pieces of work. And as I got older and got more experience and started working with large organizations, I very clearly understood, and this is where dentistry was really far behind, in my opinion, that for every pound spent in marketing, there needs to be a real significant return. And there really isn't much marketing that you do where you don't really look at marketing in that way. So I wanted to build a business where the services that we offer, they're tried and tested. So at Digimax, we offer three services: branding, memorable branding, the most powerful dental website. So we've studied over 100,000 patient visits. We know exactly what patients are doing, and then we build websites around that. The goal of a website is to get them off the website as quickly as possible and into inquiry. And then visibility, SEO, organic Google rankings is the only ongoing marketing service we offer because it's the only service that actually works, costs hundreds of pounds as opposed to thousands of pounds, and patients trust it more. And dentistry is a business of trust. So, there's so many other things that I know how to do, paid ads, I know how to do it all. But with, things like paid ads, which is a big thing in dentistry right now, there is no trust. The patient's not trusting that business that's invested in advertising. The practice is having to work really hard to build rapport. So I focus on the core fundamentals that I've worked for hundreds of practices and that I've seen in the last 20 years of my career. And we only work with 5 clients every single month to maintain that quality. We're now a team of 37 of people that really share the same vision as me, that every single person that trusts us is really important. And one thing that I do whenever I hire someone, I ask them, I show them a picture of a typical client, might be, late 30s, wife, 1 child. And I say, who are we helping? And they say, this is before I show anything. And they say, oh, we're helping the practice. I said, no, but what are we doing with our work? We're making the practice busier. And then I show a face. I show Kev, for example. And I said, we're helping him. I said, what happens if we help him? Then I zoom out. Then it shows his family. It shows his kid. And then ultimately, I keep zooming out and it shows freedom. And I said, why are you working at Digimax? I said, for freedom. I said, so what's important? And then they tell me their version of why it's important to just live with integrity. And I know we're going to get onto your pillars as well. So yeah, that's really our philosophy, and I think that's what's made us successful.
Yeah, again, it's the same story, isn't it? It's the same story again and again. I mean, I do this exercise with people called peeling the onion, and we just peel off all these layers till we get to somebody's purpose.
Is that what it's called?
And then I end up saying,
then you start crying as well.
Yeah, but then they do actually sometimes, because you get out of their head into their heart.
You really do.
Yeah, but you often, like, you start with a goal, and it might be something about your personal life, your career, whatever, and inevitably when you have a strong sense of purpose, you peel off all the onion and you always get to the same purpose, that it's the central point for everything. And so even this story is the same thing, right? It's about the bigger picture, even from buying people in, getting people bought into your concept in terms of the team that you build. You bring them in right from the beginning with somebody who already shares your values, as opposed to the common mistake dental practices make, for example, or bigger companies. They'll look for the person who has the skill set, not for the person who has the purpose, and then they try to impose that purpose and that values on somebody, and that's where you often get a mismatch, right? So you're already bringing them in with purpose, with values, and getting them to see the bigger picture, getting them to understand the why right from the beginning. It's the same thing. You keep coming back to the same middle little, you keep coming back to the seed.
That's right. That's right.
Germination.
And I did at the very beginning. Trying to install this later hasn't worked for me. So it's been a journey, right? It's not always been like this. So when I've introduced ideas and concepts about integrity and care, and you do it 2 years into someone's employment, I found they don't get it. It doesn't work. And eventually they end up leaving as you evolve into something that has changed so much from when they joined. So I'm not lazy about day 1, day 2, day 3 of a new hire. The first month, I spend a lot of time with these individuals. And most of it, they're looking at you sometimes, their eyes glazing over, that when is he going to stop? But it really is a important investment to share how you think. And as a result, I'm not telling my team reply at 9 p.m. at night or 6:30 a.m. Like, if I can see what's happening in my business, they're doing that, and they're not looking for recognition in that. We've got other ways of recognizing them, but it's happening because they really understand that we're not a typical business.
Yeah, and so you end up with these people who are willing to go the extra mile, right? But that, again, that's the epitome of true leadership, is creating leaders rather than just bossing people about, right? You're the central, and all of that vibrates out to create a wonderful team, which sadly is very lacking in most dental practices, unfortunately. So I want to go on to the nail it pillars in a minute, because I know you're just itching, and you might get this one right in a minute. But what prompted you to write the book Instagram for Dentists?
I'm going to start by saying, my accountant says you're the worst, most successful client I've got. Now, usually when people write books and make things, there is a profitability element in there. And I wrote Instagram for Dentists because I got tired of replying to friends that were emailing me, clients, who I call friends. Oh, Shaz, this has happened, or what should I do this, or what should I do in this situation? I use this agency, it didn't work. So I started sending all these emails in my spare time to people to solve their problems. And they said, look, Shaz, why don't you offer Instagram marketing? And I said, look, I don't believe in it. I don't think you can outsource it. This was at that time, so beliefs have changed a little bit. And then one fine day, I had this idea. Why don't I just get all my scent items and turn it into a book? And in that moment, whenever I get an idea, I've got to run with it because I get this feeling that if I don't announce this idea, someone else will. So I quickly made this book cover, put it on Facebook. It was, I think it was a Saturday. By Tuesday, I had 1,800 people say, I'm going to buy your book once you launch it. I haven't even written the book yet. I just wrote, coming soon. This is the book. This is where you register. Right? No,
Just to
but
cover it.
this is the crux. So I walked to the office Monday, Marylebone Station, walking with a spring in my step that I got this. This is going to be brilliant. Got to my office, got to my sent items, copied and pasted all of these emails into a Word document. And I realized that I've only got about 12 pages of content because it was the same waffle that I'd repeated over and over again. And I thought, shit, what do I do? So I had to take 9 months out to write this book. And as I said to you, I've never written a book before, not particularly a reader myself. So I created this book out of anger. And also, I didn't really have a lot of self-belief. So I announced that all proceeds for this book will go to charity. Obviously, I care about charity, but I care about myself as well. So I said all proceeds will go to charity. Sold 18,000 copies. It still sells every day, all parts of the world, and it's been pretty amazing for the charity actually. So yeah, that's why I wrote the book. I've written other books since, but this has been the most successful one.
What other books have you written?
Experience marketing for dentists, how to grow your practice without spending a penny on marketing. So learning from the five-star hospitality sector, all the things that practices can be doing to really stand out. And I'm not talking, typical patient experience stuff. I'm talking about, sending a video in the morning to the patient with a walking directions video from the train station to the practice, reduce their anxiety. If there's going to be parking issues, send them a message. Ask them, what is your temperature preference in the practice? Now, this is all the wrapping. A bit like the iPhone that you bought, Rana. It's the box, it's the feeling, it's the smell. That means that the phone must be good. That means the dentistry must be good if they care about all these details. So I feel helping a practice that's outstanding in all these other things, it makes my life easier as a marketer too. Um, and
Yeah.
really, what we're trying to do is get that. Look, the only thing that makes a business grow is the people that interact with that business that go out of the way to tell other people you need to go to this practice. And that's really what I was trying to get to with this book. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. For me, like when I owned my practice, it was like a family. There was nothing clinical in there. You used to walk in, it had all these lovely sofas, it had all this Arabic calligraphy on the walls that was from my childhood that I used to have at home and my dad had given to me, that had been gifted to him by this famous calligrapher. And people would go and they'd sit and they'd talk to my receptionist in a separate little room, and they just felt like they were part of a family, and my team were my family. I mean, they helped me move house 3 times. They were just, yeah, I mean, you talk about going the extra mile. They
Yeah.
were incredible, and I think for me, I knew it was time to leave after I sold to a group. And I stayed for my 5 years, and after that it was just I just felt like I was going to disappear. There was nothing left of me because I'd lost my family. Everybody had gone, and it was so much of it was all these things that you're talking about. We used to share that. We'd go the extra mile, we'd check up on them. We'd I'll tell you one story I did. I had one patient, and my receptionist said, oh, you really need to ring her. She's really upset. Her husband has died. And I phoned her up, and so this has nothing to do with her teeth whatsoever. Obviously, as a periodontist, you look after these people for a long time. I phoned her up. I had a chat with her. She's in floods of tears. She told me everything that happened, and she so clearly didn't have the money. He used to like drive her 100 miles to come to see me for her maintenance visits with laser, and then she'd go away again. I just asked her for her bank details, and I gave her £2,000. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like seriously the extra mile, right? Um,
Yeah.
and she was the sweetest, kindest lady. She was so appreciative. She would never let anybody forget me. But again, just as a person, I thought I've really made a difference. Like, she's paid me, I don't know, she's paid me way more than that over the years.
Yeah.
But this was a person who was in complete and utter desperation, and had no idea. She knew nothing. Her husband used to look after absolutely everything. She passed away about 3 or 4 years later, and left me that money back in her will.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Really?
Yeah,
What an incredible story.
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
That's humanity for me. I completely, some people will not get what you've done. I completely get that. That's amazing.
Because what you give out, you get back, right?
Yeah.
You get back in multiples.
Absolutely.
So go on then, nail it. Go on, Bav. You ask the question.
Go ahead, Shaz. So you've read about Nail It. You know the 6 pillars.
I have
Which,
indeed.
which resonates with you the most, and why?
Honestly, when I was looking at the pillars earlier today, um, it everything else was blurred and integrity was just flash, flash.
I had it up. There you go, Anna. I had it. I got one. I got
Well
one.
done, Bavin. Congratulations. Finally.
Finally.
She's that Mystic Meg over there, right? She always rubs in that she knows it.
Yeah.
Did you have that as well?
Well, of course, he gave us a clue. He must have said the word at least 3 times.
Go on, sorry, Shaz. Go on. Why integrity?
No. Reputation in dentistry is the only currency I've seen. Trust and reputation. And whatever your reputation, good or bad, it travels at the speed of light. You guys know this. We're all part of this really small family. We're all connected. And when I went through this exercise once with a business coach many years ago, and he said, Shez, why do people use you? And I said, oh, because of my amazing design. And he said, no, why do people use you? And I was fixated on, it's my design. Why else? And he said, go and ask them. And he said, but I want you to ask the people that you want to do more work with in the future, the type of people that you like, that you want to see more of. And there was a reason for that. So I asked them, only one person said design. Everyone else complimented my character. And as time went on, this is years ago I'm talking about, it kept coming back to the same thing. And I thought, there might be better designers than me out there. There might be people that are better at my craft and skill and all of that. But people like working with me because I practice honesty. It's very important to me to carry integrity. I've seen that with my father. So for me, that is one of my number one pillars with which I lead life. There are people that I'll speak to in my business that will call up and I will actually say, no, I don't think you should do this. And I'll turn away business. So for me, it's number one. And as a parent as well, that's the behavior I'm modeling for my daughter. I don't know, I could just go on, but it's very important to me. And I want to be surrounded by people who also have integrity too.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, so integrity is it's about going with flow, right? To become an integrated person, because when you're not an integrated person, anything you try to do uses up excess energy. And the whole point of the Nail It system is about high performance without burnout. In other words, you streamline your energy and you truly are who you're meant to be, and fulfill your potential. Lead fully, lead better, live fully, love more. That's what it's about. So the integrity component is the valuable being blueprint. So that includes mastering your values, your authenticity, your leadership, your understanding, your ambition, making sure it's healthy ambition, your behavior, so becoming conscious of that, your legacy. We've talked a lot about purpose today, and excitement. And again, you've got so much passion in what you do. So when you really align with all of that, then you become a truly integrated being. So yeah, very, it's my favorite one as well, because it's just so powerful. It really, to me, it's the key to freedom, and the other bits just add to your ability to be an optimal performer.
I love your framework, by the way. I did look at all the pillars and I thought, wow, Rana's really nailed it with this because the level of detail that you've gone into, even now, the way you broke down integrity, I didn't really know it like that actually. And I thought I've got a lot to learn. So well done. That is pretty amazing. I'm very impressed with the Nail It system.
Thank you. Well, the book is due to be published 28th
Yeah.
of February. That's the publication
I was
date.
about to say she's literally written a book on it. Yeah.
So I definitely have. Well, I wrote the book 2 years ago. We've just spent so long faffing about with different publishers, but yeah, it's a beautiful design, and it's ready to come out into the world. So we're just doing all the PR stuff at the moment, and yes,
Best
so
of luck.
we'll get you over to the book launch.
Oh, I'd love that.
There we go.
I'll get you a signed copy, Shaz. I'll sort you out.
Yeah, it would be valuable. I'd love that too.
Shaz, honestly, we could obviously talk for hours, but I know we better not. We'll save it for another time. We'll have to have him on again, Bav.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. We have to. We didn't even get onto some of the other stuff that Shaz does. He's so humble.
Honestly, so inspiring just to listen to you, and I think anybody who listens to you would just feel just feel uplifted, inspired, excited, like they could do it, and also questioning what's their purpose as well. So thank you so much for today.
Thanks, Shaz.
Thank you for giving me the platform. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I would love to come back again.
Yay! How can people find you, for those who are only listening, not watching? Obviously, we'll put your details in the notes.
I'm on Instagram, shaz.memon. I've got a website, shaz.co.uk. So yeah, both ways.
Beautiful, amazing. Thank you again, Shaz.
Thanks.
Take care. Wow, Bav.
I know.
Summary?
Mate, another great person on our podcast. I mean, you're in wow of him, really, right? He's so driven. He epitomizes a leader, I believe. I'd say he's and I know it's quite easy, but integrity literally was throughout that whole chat. And it's so refreshing to see someone that has true purpose in life. And even from his quote, everything led from that, and he grew from that. And even his background, what his purpose is, his charity, his work, his business, everything has come from that quote, which is funny because it's true purpose.
Yeah, well, so often when you have a favorite quote, that's exactly what it does, because you wonder why it's your favorite quote, right? It must be something about it that adds to your purpose, that drives you, that resonates with you so much that's a saying that you hold on to. So yeah, we were so lucky to have him anyway. And I'm really looking forward to having him back and some more amazing guests.
Yeah, we've got quite a few this season, haven't we? So
we definitely do. But for now,
thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Nail It podcast. We would love it if you would leave us a 5-star review. And if you'd like to feature as one of our guests, or you're ready to nail it, then check out our events, programs, and educational courses by visiting nailitindentistry.com.